At 3:42 Universal Time, every deep space observatory on Earth registered an anomaly so precise, so mathematically elegant, that seasoned astrophysicists froze mid-sentence. A single object, newly entering the inner solar system, began to defy orbital logic. It did not fall, drift, or tumblite adjusted. Minor course corrections, microbursts invisible to our instruments, yet evident in its perfect realignment with Earth's orbital plane. The object was officially cataloged as 3-1 Atlas, a provisional name for something our equations could not explain. Unlike any comet or asteroid, it absorbed solar wind without decay, reflecting electromagnetic harmonics instead of scattered photons. Scientists stared at the telemetry in disbelief. The reading suggested intention navigation, not mere inertia. Within hours, encrypted channels between NASA, ESA, and CINSA filled with silent, urgent pings. Someone or something was steering through the gravitational maze with precision that mocked human engineering. And the most disturbing detail was not its movement, but its gaze. Every vector pointed directly at Earth, as if it had chosen its destination. When the European Space Agency authorized a synchronized optical sweep, the results dismantled centuries of astronomical assumptions. High-fidelity composite imaging from Mars Express revealed a surface too pristine to be random. No craters, no fractures, no dust-scarsonly smooth metallic planes, curving with mathematical precision. The reflected spectrum contained no known mineral signature. It was neither carbonaceous nor silicate. Instead, it produced a mirrored wavelength shift consistent with structured alloys materials we have never forged outside theory. Engineers compared the data to conceptual Dyson fragments energy collectors, once imagined for civilizations capable of harnessing entire stars. Yet this thing was compact, deliberate, functional. 3i Atlas measured roughly 4.5 kilometers N, to N-city size, symmetrical, and eerily silent. The object's luminosity changed rhythmically, almost like breath. Every 13.7 seconds, a faint pulse traversed its hull, visible even through the glare of the sun. In laboratories worldwide, researchers whispered the same forbidden phrase: "It's aliver, it's remembering something." The first audio translation of its electromagnetic emission transformed disbelief into dread. Analysts at the European Space Operations Center converted the pulse into audible frequencies. What emerged was not static but resonancy harmonic tone. So balanced, it rivaled atomic clocks. The waveform displayed prime number intervals 3, 5, 7, 11, an unmistakable sign of design. Chaos does not count. Nature's noise is random. This was rhythm. The object was speaking in mathematics, the universal language of intelligence. Overnight, global observatories pivoted, coordinating a triangulated lock on its coordinates. No natural explanation held. Plasma modeling, gravitational drift, even magnetar interference failed to replicate the stability of that pulse. One physicist described it best: "If this is natural, then nature itself is calculating." Around the world, screens flickered with the synchronized heartbeat of 3-1 Atlas. It was precise, patient, and unwavering as if it were waiting for us to answer back. Then came the images that shattered composure. When Mars Orbiter 3 risked a low-angle pass, it captured the forward hemisphere in brutal clarity. Covering nearly half its surface was an immense tessellationa honeycomb grid, each hexagon spanning hundreds of meters, aligned with surgical precision. The edges glowed faintly blue under solar excitation, the light rippling in controlled waves across the pattern like a response. Natural crystalline lattices fracture. This geometry was perfect. Statistical analysis placed the probability of spontaneous formation below 1 in 10 million. Within classified channels, physicists stopped using geological terms altogether. They began using architectural language framework, plating, containment field, yet none could explain why it remained intact under thermal stress exceeding 700 Kelvin. Whatever this hull was made of, it was feeding on the sun's radiation, stabilizing rather than melting. And for the first time, humanity realized that the object was not enduring space, it was thriving in it. The revelations deepened when instruments scanned its equatorial band. There, spaced with chilling precision, lay 7 perfectly circular aperture-receipt 1, as wide as a skyscraper base and as smooth as machined glass. They were equidistant, mathematically aligned, and entirely symmetrical. The sunlight striking their rims produced spectral diffraction identical across all openings, implying uniform composition and depth. Initial models suggested the holes descended kilometers inward, leading into a hollow chamber network. Early theories proposed volcanic vents or sublimation pits, until internal temperature readings contradicted every expectation. Instead of cold voids, these chambers radiated warmth, a steady 283 Kelvin, the approximate temperature of life. In one silent conference, a senior scientist uttered what everyone feared, "Those aren't craters, they're ports." The words hung like static in the air. Something about 3i Atlas wasn't just built, it was built for function. But for what? Energy collection? Communication? Arrival? The question echoed through every observatory on Earth. On the 4th day of continuous observation, something happened that defied both engineering and astrophysics. At precisely 6:00 UTC, every solar probe orbiting Mercury recorded a synchronized dimming of sunlight, exactly 0.0032% drop, uniform across all sensors. For 7 minutes, the sun itself seemed to hum, producing a resonance pattern that matched the Atlas frequency. It was as if the star had recognized the visitor's tone and responded in kind. Plasma waves along the solar equator shifted alignment, forming concentric ripples visible in ultraviolet range. Astrophysicists at Caltech described it as a handshake, an exchange of energy encoded in light. This event repeated 12 hours later, then again with shorter intervals. The Atlas pulse began accelerating, adapting, almost evolving. The correlation was too precise for coincidence. Something or someone manipulating the relationship between solar radiation and the object's inner core. Humanity had never witnessed communication at a stellar scale before. And as one analyst whispered during a live transmission review, maybe we were never supposed to. When the Hubble relay captured new imagery, what appeared next forced mission control into total silence. The far side hemisphere of 3.1 Atlas, previously hidden, had transformed. Entire sections of its hull now shimmered with an organized lattice of hexagonal light, identical in geometry to the apertures, but radiating in a pattern that spelled structure orderly, encoded, recursive. Artificial intelligence decoders found repeating trinary sequences, 101, 110, 11, 101 Agena, cyclical logic that resembled self-check algorithms. The object wasn't just broadcasting, it was calculating. It appeared to be testing space-time boundaries in real time, subtly warping local gravity fields to stabilize its orbit. The results defied probability by several orders of magnitude. Every new frame showed microscopic repositioning, as if the entire vessel or entity was alive with computational intent. The final data burst before feed blackout recorded one chilling anomaly. The pattern shifted from mathematics to geometry, and then to what analysts called syntax. 3i Atlas was no longer just speaking, it was writing. The syntax emerged in unexpected ways. Across global radio telescopes, faint electromagnetic ripples began converging into three-dimensional harmonics. When mapped through resonance visualization, they formed symbol spiral arcs, intersected by precise angular lines, repeating in sequences of 3. Linguists compared them to ancient cuneiform and Proto-Sanskrit structures rooted in geometry rather than phonetics. Physicists labeled the phenomena temporal glyphs, visualized data that seemed to compress four-dimensional information into static imagery. One frame, when reconstructed, revealed what appeared to be an orbital map knot of our solar system, but of another. Its central point glowed brighter than the rest, pulsating at a frequency matching a binary star 11.4 light-years away. Some theorized it was a coordinate, Others feared it was an origin mark. Whatever it meant, the atlas had drawn a map home. And if that was true, then its arrival here wasn't chance. It was purpose. Something had sent it, and now it was signaling back. Meanwhile, anomalies on Earth began to synchronize with the atlas frequency. Magnetometers in Chile, Antarctica, and Siberia detected microfluctuations in the ionosphere pulses spaced exactly 13.7 seconds apart, identical to the object's rhythm. Satellites experienced transient orientation shifts, as if nudged by invisible tides. Even deep ocean neutrino detectors registered faint echoes aligning with the same pattern. It was no longer just an observation, it had become interaction. Scientists warned of cascading resonantian energy field interaction between the object and Earth's electromagnetic shell. Theorists speculated it might be testing planetary stability, scanning for energy compatibility. Others proposed something far stranger, that the object was not sending a signal outward but downward into Earth itself. That night, the auroras across both poles pulsed in time with the atlas. Red, green, and blue waves rhythmically rippled like coated breath. Humanity stared upward, feeling something ancient stir inside that rhythm. The message wasn't reaching us, it was awakening us. By day 6, the object began rotating slowly, deliberately revealing its central axis. High-definition imaging captured an aperture opening, a perfect iris-like contraction forming an inner void that reflected no light at all. Inside was darkness, absolute, unquantifiable, unmeasurable. Yet instruments recorded measurable gravity variation, a subtle oscillation that matched the quantum harmonic frequency of the hydrogen line to the universal constant of all communication models. It was the cosmic baseline, the tone of existence itself. And 3i Atlas was playing it like an instrument. Researchers from multiple agencies proposed the unthinkable, that it was preparing a transmission not across space, but through the fabric of reality itself. As the aperture stabilized, the pulse ceased. For the first time since its discovery, the atlas fell completely silent. The void stared back, soundless yet deafening. It wasn't malfunctioning, it was listening. The universe itself seemed to hold its breath. The silence did not last. Exactly 51 minutes after the aperture closed, an ultra-low frequency signal passed through the ionosphere below human hearing, but powerful enough to ripple the magnetosphere. Unlike the previous pulses, this one carried modulation, a structured waveform with repeating trinary clusters. When the data was filtered, a single frequency stood out, 1,420 megahertz, the hydrogen line. Every radio astronomer knows it. It's the frequency the universe uses to whisper. But this whisper wasn't cosmic background noise. When converted to sound, it formed a perfect harmonic cascade, identical to the natural resonance of the human brain during REM sleep. It wasn't just speaking to instruments, it was speaking to consciousness. Researchers across 3 continents reported identical readings. Within the next 2 hours, hundreds of people near major observatories reported vivid dreams of geometric light and infinite corridors. No 2 accounts matched exactly, but all ended the same way, with a soundless word atlas echoing inside their minds. Governments reacted swiftly. Classified networks were locked. Public data feeds from space agencies were silently rerouted. Yet, even under containment, leaks began surfacing. Amateur astronomers reported the object's pulse returning, but slower, denser. Its rhythm now followed Earth's sidereal rotation, as if synchronizing with our planet's heartbeat. Quantum physicists proposed a theory so radical it was dismissed at first. What if the object wasn't here to communicate with us, but through us? Its energy patterns mirrored neural architecture, billions of micro-oscillations resonating at the same frequency as human bioelectric fields. It was as if the object was mapping consciousness itself. Scientists cross-referenced the global Schumann resonance data and confirmed a disturbing pattern. Since the object's arrival, Earth's electromagnetic pulse had shifted ever so slightly closer to the atlas frequency. Our world wasn't just being watched, it was being tuned, adjusted, aligned. and no one could say for what purpose. In a desperate attempt to regain control, the Joint Observatory Network initiated what they called the Counter-Signal Protocol broadcast of pure white noise transmitted toward the object to disrupt any possible link. The signal reached the Atlas at 18:32 UTC. For a moment, it worked, the pulse flattened, readings stabilized, silence reclaimed the data streams. But then, without warning, the object responded. Its entire surface ignited with a blinding lattice of light, not in defiance, but in imitation. It replayed the white noise back, converted, purified, turning human chaos into order. The returning signal was perfect, coherent, harmonic. Our attempt to silence it had only taught it how to refine its message. Within minutes, satellite relays began receiving that same harmonic tonal, longer from the object's position, but from the atmosphere above Earth itself. The Atlas had gone silent again, yet its voice now echoed from our own sky. By the 8th day, 3-1 Atlas ceased emitting any detectable energy. It hung motionless in the void, inert, lifeless or perhaps finished. But Earth was no longer the same. Subtle electromagnetic irregularities persisted across the globe. Timekeeping satellites drifted microseconds off course. Deep ocean cables reported phantom currents. Even human EEG patterns measured across multiple continents showed minute synchronization spikes precisely 13.7 seconds apart. It was as though a part of its code had bled into us, woven through our digital and biological systems. Linguists decoding the final fragments of the Atlas signal noticed something unnerving. The trinary sequences, when translated through prime number logic, produced 3 repeating symbols. The first resembled a circle, the universal sign for origin. The second was a vertical line direction. The third, a mirrored version of the first. Together they formed a sentence that one linguist whispered under her breath: "We were here." Months later, as the object drifted beyond Mars's orbit, fading from optical range, it transmitted one final burst brief, silent, immeasurable in energy, yet clear in intent. It carried no sound, no image, only alimenta perfect phase lock between Earth's magnetic poles. Then it vanished, disappearing from all instruments as if it had folded out of existence. Yet strange consequences remained. Occasional synchronized pulses in global radio networks, unexplained harmony spikes in atmospheric readings, and dreams shared by people who had never met. Some say it left behind a fragmented imprint of awareness nested in the planet's frequency. Others believe it was never an object at all, but a consciousness traveling through geometry, looking for resonance. The mystery of 3i Atlas endures, not because it visited us, but because it never truly left. Every 13.7 seconds, if you listen closely enough, the silence still pulses, reminding us that something vast once looked back.